How do you close your factory? Kibera is a factory for NGOs. So on a single item, and I say this from a point of knowledge, on a single item like the provision of clean water and sanitation, there are hundreds of NGOs that have been active in Kibera for the last 20 years. And yet when you go to Kibera, you still see water which is not potable being carried in jerrycans. Why? Because they don't want to solve the problem. They don't want to solve the problem, because if you solve the problem, then you lose a job. That is how you must see these. And we must have time and a timetable for them. I think President Paul Kagame of Rwanda does it very well. He actually wants to know what you are doing and when you are leaving, because you ought not to be permanent in that area. But we have been lulled into a false sense of security by these NGOs. They come and say, we are giving you water, we sink this borehole, we have this school feeding program, and they keep on feeding you, and they tell you not to feed yourself, so you forget how to seek food. You rely on donor aid, and you remain a child for life. You remain a beggar for life. You remain an object of pity for life. You remain a person whose esteem has been destroyed for life. You remain fodder for life. You are dehumanized for life. You are humiliated for life. Sad. Governments, African governments must play their role. We have played the blame game for too long. We must also say that the reason why those NGOs are in our countries is because our governments have failed. Governments are instituted amongst men and in countries for purposes of using taxes to resolve those problems. But what do we have in many African governments? Thieves, who when they are made to preside over health services, they steal the money. When they are made to preside over road, they steal the money. When they are made to preside over school, they steal the money. If you look at some of the richest men and women in Africa, they are to be found in government. The poorly paid civil servants in Africa are paradoxically the richest. And what do? The money that is meant for water, the money that is meant for health, for education, they steal it and build hotels. Hotels have now become their favorite. And if they don't build hotels, they are building apartments. And if they don't build apartments, they are keeping the money in Panama. And now they are beginning to keep it in Mauritius and the Cayman Islands and Guernsey Island. Governments in Africa are underperforming. And therefore, these NGOs are filling that void. And we must, as a people, make demands of our government. Our threshold of satisfaction as a people in Africa is very low. We don't make demands of those whom we elect into government, and they have great contempt for us. And that is the problem. If African governments were to do things properly, you would not need NGOs. And there are countries where they are doing things properly. If you go to Mauritius, things are being done properly. If you go to Seychelles, things are being done properly. If you go to Botswana, things are being done properly. You go to Rwanda, things are being done properly. If you go to Tanzania, they are beginning to do things properly. If you go to Uganda, certain things are being done properly. When I was growing up in Nairobi, things were being done properly. Garbage was collected 3 times a day. There was hot lunch in Nairobi. There was free education, free indeed, with exercise books and textbooks being supplied. There was medicine in our dispensaries and in all other places. Then we lost the script. Then we dropped the baton and we started electing a bunch of thieves into public office. And we have never recovered because we ran kleptocracies masquerading as democracies.